I am the monarch of the sea. I am the ruler of the
Steven Soderbergh is a weird guy. If you don't know who he is, he directed the Ocean's movies, the Oscar award-winning Traffic, The Nick, one of the most grossly overlooked cable shows on the planet. But then in 2014, just because, he took Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho and Gus Van Sant's 1998 shot-for-shot remake and combined them into a single film, which he unofficially uploaded to his personal website, extension 765. He then took Michael Cimino's 3.5-hour Western epic Heaven's Gate and shaved it down to just under 2 hours, dubbing it the Butcher's Cut, out of love. Most pertinent in this case, though, is what Soderbergh did with Steven Spielberg's Raiders of the Lost Ark, desaturating the film, removing all of its original score and dialogue, and replacing it with Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor's electronic scores from The Social Network and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Why? As an exercise in blocking and staging. In simple terms, blocking is the way actors in a scene are told to move. Staging is the way actors and objects are positioned locally within a frame. Spielberg's genius as a director has always been in his ability to effortlessly synthesize the two to create shots that are both dynamic and efficient. By removing key elements that are familiar, coloration, dialogue, a melodic score, Soderbergh's goal here was to isolate Spielberg's decision-making, to focus only on the visual, how his scenes are staged, how his shots are presented, what his rules of movement are, what his cutting patterns are. What's amazing is how clear the purpose and relationships of a scene remain without any sound. Take one of the film's most expositional scenes, for instance. 4 men in a room. 2 we know are strangers by the way they politely accept seats, while Indy, the most important, stays highest in the frame, and Brody, clearly allied and comfortable, leans against the podium, remaining on Indy's side. No need for inserts of the 2 men sitting down, since Spielberg manages to keep all 4 actors fully visible in the same frame he opened with. Then when we do cut, we get 2 opposing sides, separated in the middle by an object of interest. And while it literally isn't the focus of the shot yet, it almost always remains in frame, which allows Spielberg to reuse this framing later on when Indy does this. But it's his group shots that show off Spielberg's staging best. We've already looked at this one, but later, when Indy's explaining something important and all eyes and ears are on him, we get this, framing him alone in the corner, then this shot where we look where they're looking, and finally, when all 4 characters come together and are literally on the same page, we get this, and the foreshadowed book becomes the center of their attention. For Spielberg, it's all about capturing multiple dynamics as efficiently as possible. Take this scene, only this time focus on its use of levels. From her introduction, we know that Marion can outdrink anyone. So here, Marion and Belloc start out as equals, until Marion literally drinks him under the table, remaining beneath him to give him the illusion that he's got power over her. But when she reveals her true intent, she gets upstaged by Tote, who has the real power in this scene. But we're still just scratching the surface. Here are 5 things that caught my eye about Spielberg's directing with the color gone and the sound off. Number 1, the economy of his shots. Consider just how much is conveyed through these 2 sequences while barely changing frames. On the other hand, why show in 2 what can be implied in 1? Another way Spielberg stays efficient is by utilizing multiple planes of action, making full use of the foreground and the background to show what a character sees or what they don't. And this goes hand in hand with number 2, Spielberg's use of multi-compositional long shots, when you start in one frame and end in another without cutting. Here's my favorite example. Here, Brody enters Indy's house, giving us frame number 1. The men then move to the living room, where the conversation continues. They toast, giving us frame number 2. The camera then follows their blocking here, Brody talking and Indy packing, before we push in to focus on Brody alone. But now what? Almost any director would cut here to get Indy's response, or if it were an Emmanuel Lubezki film, the camera might swing around. But being the king of blocking, Spielberg takes the third option. Instead of cutting or moving the camera, he moves Indy, giving us a brand new frame with new information. This one shot is over 1.5 minutes long and includes 6 perfectly staged compositions. Now that's good blocking. But it isn't just how long you hold a shot for, it's how short, which brings us to number 3, Rader's cutting patterns and clarity of action. Part of the reason a Spielberg action scene never gets confusing is because we're constantly alternating between wider establishing shots that place characters and objects geographically within a space, and quicker, tighter shots that highlight action and interaction. Combine that with some more interspersed multi-compositional shots like this, and this, and you're golden. Can we also just take a moment to appreciate the framing in this shot? Damn. Number 4, rising tension. Spielberg's use of multiple ticking clocks or multiple antagonizing forces. In this shot alone, we have the pilot, the mechanic, the strong man, and the propellers, all visible, all a threat to Indy. Later in the scene, we get the gas leak, the incoming soldiers, and Marion trapped in the cockpit. As one threat gets neutralized, 2 more emerge, until finally... These are just a few of the bigger decisions I noticed, but Spielberg is also amazing at framing his characters, using mirrors, and number 5, shadows. I mainly focused today on blocking and staging, but we can't overlook the importance of Douglas Slocum's hand on the camera itself in making all of this possible. The man was 75 when he shot the third Indiana Jones movie, and his early years of renowned high-contrast black and white cinematography is likely why Raiders of the Lost Ark looks so damn good desaturated. Spielberg is the American master of cinematic framing, complex blocking, and economic storytelling. He carried the best qualities of classic Hollywood into the modern age, and where most directors grow into their own with time, Spielberg has been showcasing his finest touches from the start. So the next time you want a simple way to analyze the visual language of a film, or just want to figure out how inventive a director really is, consider trying it the Soderbergh way. And if you want to check out a really extreme example of film staging, go look at Lars von Trier's 2003 film Dogville. It's a heavily experimental Brechtian-style period drama staged with minimalist set pieces in the style of black box theater, forcing the viewer's attention almost entirely on the performances, the storytelling, and the physical relationships in space. In terms of staging a film, it's about as stripped down as you can get. You can watch Dogville for free in the US right now on Mubi if you go to mubi.com/CinemaStix. A huge thank you to Mubi for being the sponsor of today's video.
We need to shut the curtain. Mark it.
If you don't know, Mubi's a bit different. It's a curated streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema from all across the world. From iconic directors to emerging auteurs, there's always something new and amazing to discover. And that's because with Mubi, each and every film is hand-selected by a team of curators, real people, giving you access to the best of cinema at your fingertips, streaming anytime, anywhere. Once again, you can watch Dogville or any of the other incredible films streaming on Mubi free with an extended 30-day trial if you go to mubi.com/CinemaStix. That's mubi.com/CinemaStix for a whole month of great cinema for free. As always, I'm Danny Boyd. Thank you so much for watching.